thinking how to improve the service for him. That is the purpose of any conversation. Ishtagosti means the enhanced intensity for progressing without impediments towards the goal of selfless surrender. It sounds a bit wordy, but each word has some meaning. And like it is in philosophy, every word takes an entire different turn of the issue. Words are very interesting, actually. Akshara, Akara, the first letter, to the last letter. Every letter comes from God. The alphabet is from God. The capacity to pronounce words comes from God. The capacity to form ideas and to translate them mentally into words. That also comes from God. And we don't marvel about it. We just take it for granted. On top of it, we behave as if this world is simply a big hunt for sense gratification. It's a sad tale, this material existence. And rarely do you find a real mystic who has determined that he wants to leave the material world of exploitation. And the Ishtagosti is the definition of the totalitarian war against Maya. This term, totalitarian war, was coined by this Hitler person. We are not interested in him. But this term was utilized in the Gaudiya Math vocabulary. That is Krishna consciousness, the totalitarian war against Maya. Otherwise, there is no totalitarian war. It's all bogus anyway. War means injustice, and we are fighting against injustice. War means conflict of interest. to the degree that one's lack of tolerance of the other side leads one to conceive that one is entitled to deprive the other person of the life in the body, which is considered the greatest of all crimes. Killing another person is the biggest of the crimes in the criminal's book, or in the law book, so to say. Even though the religious law books means thou shalt not kill, and includes animals as well, which they have ignored. But still, killing another person is considered the worst thing you can do, and that's which will gain you capital punishment in some countries and imprisonment for life in other countries. Because you think you can take somebody's life? No, you can't. You will be held responsible for that. But war is when people consider a justified cause of killing others. Officially. So it is a very obnoxious conclusion. Especially when you analyze that here brothers are killing brothers for really no reason. Nevertheless, war is a very interesting phenomenon. That is why Lord Krishna spoke his Bhagavad Gita on a battlefield. Imagine a battlefield is the harshest of all fields or spaces in this world. A battlefield is such a serious place where everyone may kill anyone. As a matter of fact, on a battlefield, if you disobey your superior commander only once, you may be killed by your own side for treason. All the rules are changing from the normal life into the battlefield. So war is a very extremely dangerous situation. And in war, there's only one thing which can bring about change. And what is that? That is called unconditional surrender. The only thing which can bring about an absolute change of the horrifying situation is putting up a little white flag. Which means we argue no more, we don't make no more demands, we do not claim anything except please save our life. Then there's silence, unconditional surrender. They have given up. And immediately the law returns. killing is a crime. After the unconditional surrender, you are not supposed to kill anybody anymore. On the contrary, now you have to feed them, dress them, transport them, educate them, organize them, reconstruct their broken buildings. Something like that. In the totalitarian war against Maya, how does this apply? Actually, in Krishna consciousness, we are using the same vocabulary. It is called surrender. We are also saying selfless surrender. We are using the word causeless mercy. We are using the terminology uninterrupted and unconditioned. So we are talking about surrender of the highest degree. So the war against Maya is the war of life and death. Because death means to be born again and to die again. So if you are in the world of illusion, you are bound to die and to be born again and to die again. To get out of the world of illusion requires a totalitarian attitude against all kinds of Mayas. You cannot afford Maya anymore. Actually, you cannot. If you're a serious follower of Lord Chaitanya, you have to take the Chaitanya Charitamrita at heart. And Mahaprabhu says, I planted this fruit tree of the fruit of love of God, Prema Phala, and I personally watched it grow, and now it is producing fruits, and I am using my own two hands to gather the fruits and to distribute them. But there are so many fruits on this tree, and there are so many people needing them around the world. I cannot do it by myself. Will you please come forward and help me to distribute the fruits of the love tree, of the Prema tree? Will you please help me? That is the order, the command of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the gist of Chaitanya Charitamrita's message. And we know by personal experience it is 100% true. We are in that emergency. If we are not personally, totally in the illusion, it was due to one bhakta coming to us and extending their share, their care, their tenderness for our case, and uplifting us from the world of faithlessness into the world of faith and joy in devotion. That is the reality each and every one of us here has experienced. So we cannot afford to ignore the sufferings of others. When our Lord has said, I cannot do it by myself, I need your help. I need you to go out and distribute the message of transcendence. I am making it more indirect. He is saying clearly, the fruit of love. Distribute prema bhakti. Yadetekitahika Krishna Upadesh. He says, the message of Lord Krishna, that is the fruit of love. You give the message of Krishna to everyone with your good example. Then things will change in other people's life. So the war against Maya is how to fulfill the sweet will of the Lord. And later, you will see, Prabhu, and later you will see how much miracle take place in your life. You see, the war against Maya is the war against exploitation and against indifference inside of you. The enemies are all there within you. You have to overcome those two demons who are making you a nasty fellow. If you don't care for your people, you're indifferent. If you exploit the others in one way or another, you're just part of the problem. You can't complain about anybody, not even about George Bush, because you're just another one like that. You're no better than him if you're sending animals to the slaughterhouse. It's just a difference. He sends humans to the slaughterhouse and you send animals to the slaughterhouse. So what's the difference? Both of them suffer. Unduly, unjustly. So you have to understand that the war against Maya is a very serious affair. It's not little singing and dancing and going home and watching TV. Doesn't matter whether you're grihasta, brahmachari, sannyasi. That is an insignificant little division of organizational importance. The war against Maya is our war. Doesn't matter what ashram we belong to. And the war against Maya by helping others is of the prime priority, the prime importance, regardless whether you have children or not. The people need the Vaishnavas. The people need bhakti. The people need hope. The people need faith. The people need this love which Lord Chaitanya has come to give. It is the greatest treasure which has arrived upon this earth, hand delivered by the Yuga Avatar Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And you know about that. Somehow or other you found out about it by the grace of a devotee. And now you are yourself in that war against Maya. In this war against the enemies inside. And how does unconditional surrender apply in this war? It's different than in the war in the mundane world. Because when you understand that Maya is so powerful that it can just blow you away, then you will understand I'm a lost cause. I will be pulverized by Maya. There is no chance for me. Even if I have an entire army against Maya, I'm a little nobody. I'll be finished. Then you have to apply this unconditional surrender. To Maya? No! To the spiritual master and Lord Krishna. That is the difference in this war. We don't surrender to the enemy ever. Surrender to the enemy means you're lost. You surrender to the one who is more powerful than the enemy. Who you have been so far ignoring totally. Who is that? Daivi Shabunamayi Mamai Maya Dudatyaya Mamivaye Prapatyanti Mayam Mitantarantite. Those who try to overcome this material energy, they are lost. But those who have taken shelter of me can easily cross beyond this influence of Maya. And the spiritual master, he's offering you a shield of protection. First of all, he situates you in the circle of protection, which is the circle of the 4 rules and regulations. There's actually 8 rules and regulations, but they are coming in the form of 4 rings plus 4 rings. They are like fortresses situated around you. The number 1 are the no's. Means no meat, no fish, no eggs, no drugs of any kind, no illicit sexual behaviors, and no gambling. And then comes the other 4 walls to make that even stronger. They are the chanting of the holy name, reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam, only eating prasadam, only eating offered food, and association with the devotees of the Lord. Boy, now you got a fortress around yourself. Even Maya has hard time to go in, but wait, it's not enough. These are the 8 walls, and now you have to take the shield of protection, and that is called Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Parasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Shakyam, Atmanivedanam. Hearing about the Lord all the time. Chanting about the Lord all the time. Remembering the Lord all the time. Serving the Lord all the time. Worshipping the deity of the Lord all the time. Praying to the Lord all the time. Becoming a servant of the Lord in the higher realms. Becoming friendly, intimate with the Lord. And finally, self-surrender means unconditional surrender. We are back with the white flag, you know. This white flag in front of Guru is called Sharanagati or Atmanivedanam. This is the top of the 9 processes of devotional service, because that's finally the only thing which takes you out from mayasic consciousness into happy Krishna consciousness. That makes the difference, you understand? Otherwise you're just like, I don't know, maybe yes, maybe no, maybe right, maybe left, maybe sleep, maybe awake, maybe work, maybe leisure. Oh, nonsense. You do what it has to be done. In the war, there is no maybes. There is the precise course of action according to the general and his field commanders. And the enemies are there and they're concrete dangers. And if you show your vulnerable sides to the enemy, bang, you're gone. So you have to always put the shield there, and here, and here. The shield, you have to be well shielded against the enemies, which are always there. And for being properly trained how to shield yourself despite having the shield of protection and despite being surrounded by the 8 walls of the fortresses which Sri Guru has put around you, and despite him having removed through Krishna's agency all the reactions from previous karmas which could interfere with your progress, you are still in danger. Because Atmani Vedanam has to be decided at every given moment again. It's not this thing, oh, here I am, fine, now I'm a great bhakta. No, great bhaktas, they are always in the spirit of doing the needful for the pleasure of Sri Hari. And that is the meaning of Ishtagosti. Ishtagosti is a war plan-making reunion where the army meets under the guidance of the experienced generals and in charge, and they say, this is our plan, how we going to attack illusion today in Budapest, Belgrade, Sofia, wherever, and how we going to go out there, and how we going to do that, what is our program. That is Ishtagosti. Therefore I'm saying I'm living in an Ishtagosti. For me, every conversation is Ishtagosti. Every thought is Ishtagosti. How to do it. And how to do it in Govindas Bauernhof, how to do it in Dira Samira, how to do it in Vrindavan, how to do it in any heart of any living being. This is living being. I'm talking about those who have something to do with me, because those who have nothing to do with me, I can't make plans for them. But Srila Prabhupada came to make plans for all of us, you know. Srila Prabhupada concretely came to make a concrete project, which is called the spreading of the message of Lord Chaitanya and the message of spiritual culture. Srila Prabhupada did not come to only spread the holy name. He came to spread the Vedic culture because he knew that is necessary for the world to be able to appreciate the light of the Bhagavad, where they have to hear about the Bhagavad, they have to hear about the Mahabharata, they have to hear about the benefits for our society in our different areas of wisdom. Let's call the Vedic wisdom the knowledge how to counteract so many of the difficulties of this world. Now, if the people can see that the Vedas have a much better view, well, then they will pay more attention. So we are happy about that. We are happy about the increased interest in yoga, Ayurveda, and Vastu, and all these things, because we know that will lead people to inquire further. Maybe. But of course, these new things pop up here and there, and the cheaters also pop up who want to make the Ayurveda clinic for millionaires and like the same thing which we see in the ordinary society, it also appears in the name of Vedic. Yes, what can be done? It's not in our control. Even in the distribution of the holy name of Krishna, cheaters sometimes come and say, hey, I got here the treasure of love, and it turns out to be bogus. Sadhu Maharaj went to one person in America, in Houston. He was saying he was distributing love for Krishna, and he would get a donation from the visitors who came by slapping them with his slipper. So he was with his slipper in the hand, and everybody who came got beaten with the slipper. But you have to pay $100 for each beat by the slippers. And some people paid $500, so you got 5 times beaten with the slipper. That was his preaching program. Yeah, all kinds of things happen, you know. You want to hear more far out stories? I'm a storehouse of those stories, but I don't think they are so beneficial to hear. I think it is more beneficial to make the Ishtagosti, to talk about and to plan about how to distribute the holy name of Lord Krishna and how to expand the vision of our acharyas. Our acharyas are truly revolutionary. They were no businessmen. Yes, if money came into their hands, they would also utilize it for Krishna in one way or another, as Srila Prabhupada did, and his guru did as well, and Puri Maharaj did, and Sridhar Maharaj did. But they were true sadhus. They did not care for anything for themselves. They were long done with the material world. But they wanted to teach us how to utilize everything. Like, for example, when Prabhupada was starting to get big donations in America, he told the devotees, you have to worship the Lord here with great opulence. You can't live in opulence and not worship the Lord with opulence. You can have nice, beautiful, comfortable houses, but the temple is an austere dump. Well, sorry to say, you know. You have to give proportional to the Lord the most intensive attention, because you need that. He doesn't need that. Whether the Supreme Lord has diamonds in his crown or not, or glass, he doesn't care less. All he wants is your love. He cares for your love. And this is the process of distribution of love with love, through love and for more love. I say it all the time. And unfortunately, I say many things repeatedly and still they are ignored. Such like, for example, sacred spaces of attention. While the class of the Bhagavatam is going on, you should be able to hear a needle drop. There's no other sound, there's no other movement, there's no water coming, there's no garlands moving, there's no here, unless something is absolutely necessary. Because this is a top importance. When the general is talking on what to do with our today's situation, you cannot escape one word. You have to be totally concentrated there. So you can't do all this and that and that. No. This is a kind of a discipline of concentration Most devotees, they don't get it. It's a top discipline. While the instruction of the Bhagavatam is delivered, top discipline, top silence is to be executed. Because only that time you can concentrate. How can you concentrate when in the middle of that a child starts running here and there and screaming and this? It doesn't work unless you're a stone with just a speaking function, and you don't notice anything else. But if you try to concentrate on the Bhagavatam, it must be a full concentration. That makes life interesting. And I will tell you one thing more. You all are very negligent as far as study is concerned. You don't come with a book to write down important things. I must tell you honestly, don't take my offense. This is a sign of foolishness, because none of you has so much memory to can remember all the good and important things the next moment. You are not. I'm neither. So when you go into somebody's class, you have to be prepared to note down what is important. This is a general student procedure. And this is important for those who want to learn something. Because if you go to your boss at work to get your instructions, tell me, do you want to forget the instructions 3 hours later? And then the boss comes and he's going to say, hey, what happened to that, what I told you? Oh, sorry, I forgot. I say, what do you mean you forgot? Well, I forgot. So why didn't you write it down? Because if this is an instruction to be done, you better make sure you learned it. And you follow it with a strict discipline. Otherwise, what kind of study of the Vedas is that what you are doing? Tell me honestly. And I'm saying that, again, just for helping you, for enhancing your own spiritual study. You cannot work like that. Spiritual study is the most serious thing, and organizing Krishna conscious communities is the most serious thing, and educating your children is the most serious thing, and going back home, back to God is the most serious thing, and you can't afford to go about it so la la. It's not the way to do it. If you want to make some substantial difference in this world towards the materialistic lifestyle and the enjoyment mentality and the indifference mentality, it means surrender. And when you have unconditionally surrendered, then they can tell you anything and you have to do it. You can't say, I unconditionally surrendered, but. They say, what? You want to start the war again? You want to, now you have no more weapons and you're going to start the war? We are in charge, we have the power. So, not a good idea. So, it is called, after the Second World War, they called it disnazification. They wanted to get the Nazism out of Germans. So they made all kinds of programs for that and find who was guilty, who are the ideologers, who are the ones who are controlling, where's in fascism in the system of education, where's the fascism in culture, and how to get rid of it. Of course, this is just a mundane example, but we have to get Maya out of our system. We have to do a dismayification, which is a very intensive job, because Maya is everywhere inside, even our cells. Our cells are so lazy. Another word, very hard word. Too much sun, too much rain, too much heat and no brain. Oh God, what am I going to do? Like this here. Just creating smoke screens for covering in the Mayasic world. So then the revolutionary Istagosti comes. Okay, Prabhus, each one of us, what your service you have to do for the temple. Come on, put it down. Have you done it? What happened in the last 3 months? Give me a report of the last 3 months. Did you do what you promised to do? No? What do you mean? You're a liar? You're not serious? What your words, when you speak a word, it's worth nothing? Are you a politician or what? Huh? Who are you? Are you a servant of Krishna? So what have you done? You have promised you will do? Did you get up in the morning? Did you pay attention to your service? Were you kind to your family? Etc., 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 etc. Now this is something in the war against Maya you have to do with yourself, because you can't expect another person to always come and say, come here, now we check you. We'll make a test on your integrity. The only one who does that, if any, is the poor spiritual master. He always has to bother with all your nonsense. Just like the father has to bother with the nonsense the children do. You broke the glass again. You stupid. Huh? Come here. Now you promise, I'll never break a glass again. Okay? And now you go and wash the dishes to pay for this glass you broke, because you shoot the football into the building, you know? Okay, little stupid? And little stupid says, yes, Daddy, I understand. But actually he's frightened, no? Because he didn't care when he shoot the football. He didn't care there was a glass. He thought it was fun when it sounded. Huh? He was so silly, so stupid, because he's a stupid kid. All kids are stupid. People think, oh, this nice, cute little kid. Huh? Yeah, that they also are cute and nice, but sometimes they do stupid things, just like you. And the only way you can stop doing stupid things is by following the Guru and what you have agreed, because last but not least, the fortress of the 8 circles, they were not put there and you were not imprisoned in there. You personally decided, I want to be safe against Maya, so I'm going inside there. And when they gave you the shield of the 9 secrets, the 9 devotional service, you wanted to have it now. You have to apply it when Maya comes. You have to shield yourself. You can't wait for the Guru to always go there and spoon feed you. Oh, little stupid Bhakta, you were again eating boga from the supermarket. Come on, eat your halava. Here's another spoon of halava. Yes, now you feel better. No boga in your stomach and all nicely cooked prashad. Yes, Gurudev, I feel much better. Well, what do you want? You want a Guru to be your babysitter? Or are you going to become a little bit mature and wake up and start to join the Istagosti, the hard-working forum of those who want to really get out of Maya? That is the whole question here. Do you really want to get out of Maya, or was that another hobby? The Krishna consciousness adventure hobby. When I was young, I joined an ashram. And it was nice. I got up early and chanted mantras. Nowadays, I'm old and mature. Then you ask him, what was the best time in your life? Well, actually, when I lived in the ashram. Oh, yes? And stupid, what did you do? Oh, well, I fell in Maya. Why? Well, I got out of the fortress which Guru Deva had put for me. And what about the shield of protection? I lost it. I lost it. And I'm lost. So you're a lost cause? So it's all scientific. Srila Prabhupada called this mission a spiritual science. And I hope you make it that way, scientifically. Just like a car mechanic. His job is not finished until the car runs. And not only runs, but runs safely. A car mechanic can fix something in such a way that it will break in 1 kilometer. Right? Huh? 1 kilometer it will run and then it will go boom, boom and finish. The car mechanic can do that, but then he's not a sincere car mechanic. A car mechanic has to deliver the car in a good condition, running and safe, and then he can be the car mechanic. Otherwise he's a cheater and he's dangerous on top. Because this is a responsibility. Something has to work. Spiritual life also has to work. A temple has to work. A kitchen has to work and produce the food at a special time. The kitchen cannot say, sorry boys, today the food will be 2 hours late. I hope you don't mind. Yes, we do mind, because these 2 hours we have to work. And we cannot work if the food is late, so we do mind. So you better shape up in the kitchen. Otherwise we apply to you shape up or ship out. Because in this world, if I know a car mechanic is bad, I never go to him again. If I know there's somebody who's speaking nice words, but he's otherwise lying, I don't want to hear one word of that person again. So I'm not joking. You have to become more serious about getting out of this material world. And you have to become more serious about distributing the fruits of Lord Chaitanya's Prema Phala, his tree of love. Because he requested that, not because I am requesting. You can rather forget about me. I mean, as much as I'm delivering a message to you, okay, you can remember me. But this whole topic, this whole issue, it's not about me. It's not even about Prabhupada. It's about the Lord Himself who has come to this world to save us. The orders are coming from the Shastras. And the Guru is simply explaining them and enthusing us. So our Mela is drawing to an end. So I want you to put everything nicely together what you have learned in this week. Because you learn something new every moment. Just like when you had a bicycle. Then you had to know everything about the bicycle. Because if you don't drive it nicely, you fall on your nose. And then later you got a car. Now you don't need the wisdom of a bicycle to run a car. You need the wisdom of the car to run the car. So in our life we're learning something new every day. There's adjustment of the program as we grow older. It's different thing to be a bachelor or to have children or to have grandchildren or to have disciples. There are different circumstances. And you have to learn according to the circumstance. You can't say, when you have children, oh, as a bachelor, I was doing real well. I'm sorry my child has no clothes because I have no money extra for them, but, c'est la vie. No. Then the Department of Child Protection will come, say, you are leaving your children without clothes. We take away your child, put it into a public institution, and we may even throw you in jail for being a nonsense. So it's not that you can do whatever you like. It's just not like that. Even in the mundane world, you have a child, that means 20 years child support or not. And if you don't pay, in some countries you go to jail for that. If you don't pay your child support. So how was the thing? 5 minutes joy and 20 years pain. And do you think you did your duty then? No. You can't pay to your child a few dollars and say, I did my duty by paying some money. No, if you do not take care of your child as a father, with love, with proper guidance, with everything a good father does, you end up being in debt with your child. By not supplying him a standard of happy guide into the world of spiritual perfection, not only mundane security. Some people in the material world, they may be very careful about safeguarding their children in the mundane interest, but they're not giving anything spiritual to them. Because they are not surrendered to the truth, they cannot deliver the truth. They're totally in the world of illusion, so their children, they have no chance except escaping from them and joining the war against Maya. By finding a real guide. Because the guide is essential in spiritual life. Because the guide removes the decision making from your capricious mind towards the Guru Shastra Sadhu Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya safe ministry of transcendental decision making. Without Guru Shastra Sadhu Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya, which includes your own consciousness, obviously, you're simply in the department of Maya using you like a punching ball. Punching you here, throwing you there, and you go, or we say, I hope this will be nice. No, it was horrible. And like you get another kick there. Oh, maybe that was pleasant. Some of the kicks feel like mosquito bites. Oh, let me scratch a little. Huh? Like this, we get pleasure even out of the punches, don't we? Huh? We think, oh, there's a girl. She smiles so sweetly. She tells me, do you want to hug me? Do you love me? Yeah, but I got a wife and 3 children at home. It doesn't matter, love is love, doesn't it? Huh? And you go, oh yes. And you just run into her arms and you create a total disaster for the whole family. Huh? But do these women exist? Waiting for you? Of course, they are also desperate. They have their own trouble. Everybody in this world of Maya is full of trouble. But then you run away from your family for some pleasure, for some other love, and your whole life is jeopardized. Your children have no more father they can trust. Your wife will be disheartened. So, to be a punching ball in the hands of Maya and no joyful business, I tell you. It's just you're going to get it. Until you're beaten to pulp. And when you're there, totally devastated at the end, you say, Krishna save me, Krishna save me. Well, if you do say that, maybe next year you'll be born in a devotee family. Because you called upon Krishna. Our children, they're all special children. It's not an ordinary thing to be born in a Vaishnava environment. I tell you that one. So we have to be very disciplined. We have to work very hard. Krishna consciousness is a precious jewel. And you don't get it easy. Precious jewels, they are there, but you don't get them so easy. You can't go in a jewelry shop and tell them, can you please donate me $100,000 diamond? They're going to look at you, are you crazy? No, I just saw the stone and I liked it. I would really like to have it. Couldn't you give it to me? I change it for a tomato. Well, I prefer the tomato, to tell you the truth. Huh? But they will not prefer. They will throw you out of the shop. Get out of here. We only want buyers. You're not a buyer. You'll never get a diamond like this. Because you don't want to work for 3 lifetimes to pay for the diamonds with minimum salary. Huh? So to get the precious diamond is not such an easy thing. And it's just a little stone this big. Huh? You can lose it any moment. If you put it somewhere on the floor, where was that stone? Oh, maybe thrown out with the rubble by somebody who didn't know. That's a little treasure. But Krishna consciousness is Chintamani. It is the jewel of spiritual love. It is the greatest treasure of all treasures. But you better come with a book into the class and note down these examples, because next moment you already forgot them. Maybe after 1 week he said, Maharaj spoke about diamonds. Maybe he likes diamonds. We get all kinds of funny ideas in our head with our Kali Yuga memory. So, Jai Sri Radhe, Surya Namaskar. So, be grateful for Srila Prabhupada's gift and be his representative. Please. Don't run in this world around like a little dodo. Just interested in another cigarette, please. Another scotch on the rocks. Another pretty girl. Another movie of Rambo. And all of you who sit on these computers, you better watch it. They're the top danger. They're the agency of all the Kali Yuga slaves. And we are working there only to serve Krishna, only to distribute Prema Phala. And we should be very careful what we read there, or what we watch. Because Maya comes in by little bits and pieces. Maya doesn't come in like immediately necessarily. You say, oh, there's Maya, out of my way. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. If it would be that easy. But Maya comes in like sneaky little mixtures, little chocolate, little burfi, little Maya in between, and you think, oh, that can't be that bad. Let me read this one and let me look at this one. The best thing what you do so much service that you have no time for the computer. That's the safest. Unless your guru personally asks you, you stay here 1 hour or 2 hours and you do this and this and this and that. Then you do it. Don't become a computer Vaishnava tourist. You spend looking at this side and at that side and at that side, and you think you understand everything, and instead of understanding everything, you just admire yourself. The time is precious, and every second belongs to Krishna. Time I am, destroyer of all that is. Now, there is a healthy middle way. For example, I am quite informed what happens in this material world. Honestly, not very informed, because there's so many things happening. But sometimes when I'm flying in a plane and I see a daily newspaper or a journal, I take it and I overlook what are they saying in the material world these days. So I'm not saying that you should not be basically informed. But easily devotees also get carried away. One has to have a maturity. How many people read the newspaper every day? And according to their degree of culture, that's the type of newspaper they buy. You know, like in Germany, we have the famous Bild-Zeitung for the dodos of Germany. Huh? They go, oh, 5 women slaughtered. Oh. Huh? It's really like the lowest degree of journalism. Big headlines, pictures of blood, and we get scandalized, we get emotional, we get upset, and then they say a big football. Oh yeah, he dies. Huh? A lot of blood, a lot of beer, and a lot of football, and here you go to hell. I'm sure in every country you have a similar application. And then there are the others, the thinkers. They don't buy this stupid newspaper. They buy the more stupid newspaper, written by those who they think they know and they don't know. And they write sophisticated feuilletons. About this phenomena and this phenomena. What is the phenomena of Saddam Hussein in the Middle East? Huh? What is the history of the Hezbollah? And what Americans think about their own imperialism? Oh, yeah, that's very interesting. Let's read that one. 3 pages, no? Final outcome? He doesn't know. Thanks for your time, boy. Tomorrow you read another guy's opinion about his opinion. And the day afterwards you read the opinion about the opinion of the opinion of the opinion. And you are, yes. And then you walk out, you say, I'm very educated. I have tremendous insight in the world. I know the speculation about the speculation of the speculation of Mr. Speculator. Am I exaggerating? I think I'm still making it soft. The real impact is worse. He probably thinks that God does not exist because he read so many atheistic commentaries. Or he became New Agey. He read another type of journal. Now he thinks we are all God. Huh? Dangerous world, isn't it? And you're sitting in the middle of it. And when you sit in front of a computer, you're sitting right inside of it. And still, by the authority and the order of Srila Rupa Goswami, we have to utilize this medium for communicating the message of Lord Chaitanya to a certain degree successful, and to a certain degree a waste of time. We have to evaluate the effectiveness of our input. Because we don't want to waste our time. Because our time belongs to our Lord. It's not our time anymore. Don't forget the white flag. It was unconditional surrender to the guardian against Maya. Don't forget that. If you forget that, or if you don't pay attention to the instruction of the senior, superior guardian, it just doesn't work for you. If some devotees are not so advanced after a long time, that has a precise and technical reason. A scientific reason. The scientific reason is they didn't practice as it is. Because if you practice Krishna consciousness as it is, you will have a wonderful effect. You will be fired up, full of compassion, and never, ever make anybody upset with you. Before you make somebody upset with you, be ready to change or just get out of the way. Guru Deva doesn't make us upset with him. He wants to save us. Maybe what he says upsets my false ego, but because he is an expert he will reach my awareness despite the false ego's protest. And he will bring the point across why I should change. That's really complex. The process of Krishna consciousness teaches us to become very expert. It's a symptom of a devotee to be expert. One of the 26 symptoms of a Vaishnava. Brahmins are experts. They're not experts, they're not Brahmins. So, we have more chanting and hearing today. And, of course, because it is the last day, there's a lot of last refinements we have to make. Our transmitters and our receivers have to be synthesized. When we will meet next time, how do we communicate in between to give our service reports? How we will keep fired up and connected. How will you know what I'm doing and how will I know what you're doing? That's also good for those melas. To organize the frequencies. There's many messages out there in the different frequencies. You never know about any of them. Unless you go to that frequency. And then you'll open your eyes. My God, I didn't know this was going on right now. One time in our farm in Colombia, there was no telephone on the farm. So I got a multi-band radio to communicate our temple in Bogota with the temple in the farm. And that's a little bit like the internet. Because if you go around the dials, all of a sudden you find all kinds of people talking to each other. And you can join their conversation. There was nothing interesting. Only criminals talking to criminals and a lot of prajalpa. CQ, how's the weather there? foolishness. But if you can get onto the frequency of the Bhagavatam, if you go on the frequency of your spiritual master's message, there's no nonsense going on there. It's hard work for Lord Chaitanya's plans. Hard work keeps you out of trouble. Of course, with Maha Mantra and Srimad Bhagavatam as well. And only eating prasada. And doing a lot of service. Anyhow, when are you leaving? Tomorrow? On the 8th. Okay, so you'll have Gurudev Atulananda another day here. Jai. And Krishnananda is here. Möchtest du was sagen für die Besucher, die nach Ungarn gekommen sind? Ein paar Worte von der ungarischen Vaishnava.
Igazából ennek a mélynek